Hello, my name is Carlos Urban, and I'm going to do an overview of what is digital marketing. What do people refer to when you talk about digital marketing? I have open in my left and in my right probably two of the oldest digital marketing platforms that first started. I still remember uh, in 1993 when I had my America Online, which basically was email and a portal with news. So let's start with the basics, email. Okay, so here, and why do I want to start with email and the newspaper? So here on the left, obviously I have email, and I have an email from Best Buy, and on the right I have the New York Times. So usually the first thing I do in the morning after, obviously waking up and getting ready to go to work, what I like to do is I like to read the news while I have my newspaper and start looking at my emails. So let's look at email, which is the first one that I get. So first of all, so here we have an email from Best Buy. So let's look at some things that are interesting here. And I'm going to open this a little bit farther so we can see the whole thing. So first of all, it has my name, so clearly I have an account with them. So that is very important because if I have an account with them, they have the basic information. They have my email, they probably have my name, they probably have my phone number, and they also, but most importantly, they know what I have purchased in the past. So here I get an email that is very, I would say, very effective because right there it tells you what the benefit is. It's very much to, by the way, in email, and we're going to have this later on, the title of the email is always very important, or the subject line of the email is very important. Most of the time, just by the subject line and who's sending it, you decide if you're going to open it or not. So this says, this is a member exclusive sale, my Best Buy Plus, okay? I didn't even know I had Best Buy Plus, but just because it says exclusive and it says sale, those are two things that call my attention. And it also gives me a little bit of a sense of urgency because it says ends on Sunday. So this right here is the first type of digital advertising. This is an ad, okay? Now the good thing about email is that the cost of this is practically zero. You basically need a subscriber list and that's it, and you just send it. So that's why email continues to be so important. Now, when it comes to email, the first thing obviously is the subject line. You open the email, and then if I click on the ad, right, now it's going to take me to what is called the landing page. Now, as opposed to home page or website, usually home page is referred to the main page. But when landing page is supposed to be relevant, so it could be any page on their website that is relevant to the ad that I just clicked. Now, the moment I clicked on this ad, I just went through a very important concept in digital marketing, which is called the customer journey and the marketing funnel. The marketing funnel consists of awareness, interest, and consideration. Sometimes they're put separately. Conversion, which is when you buy something, and then repurchase, and eventually, if you become an advocate and even recommend it to other people. So let's look at these things closely. So the number one thing is websites are still very, very important, okay? But these websites need to be very effective, not only in your computer, but also on mobile. And we'll look at mobile later on because right now it would be difficult for me to share everything in this screen. But so far, so good, okay? Now, the other thing is, look what it says here, back to school deals, okay? Features and so on. Now, are any of these relevant? Well, maybe some of them are and some of them aren't. So typically when you go to a website, the most important thing is what happens afterwards. And we have, and we'll look at analytics later, but let me just give you an example. If I stay in this page and leave, that would be considered a bounce, so a bounce rate. So that means that the person bounced out of the website and didn't continue. The moment I clicked on any of these, then it's considered that I'm already engaged. I'm engaged with that website. And with that website, so I clicked on laptops to computer. So look at this. If it's taking a long time, there is a high probability that I'll drop out. It may be taking a long time because of my internet connection, but those are the things that we will discuss later on that are critical to what is called the user or the customer experience. So here we have, again, more things. And then the critical thing is anywhere between, statistics shows that anywhere between 50 to 85% of people don't make it all the way through the checkout. So and many of them stay in the cart. Now it could be that they're saving it. So this is all right. So with this, we 5 minutes talked about email. We talked about the landing page. Now let's look at another type of digital marketing. The other type of digital marketing is these things when you're reading the newspaper. And again, let's go back to the awareness stage. So I'm reading the newspaper, okay, and you have these things that are called pop-up ads, okay. For some reason that ad was removed. Interesting. Okay, let's see if we see any ads around here. Oh, that's interesting. I had that ad ready because usually when you open here it is. Okay, so here is an ad. Okay, so this is called a display ad. Okay, sometimes they're also called pop-up ads, and this could be through different ways. I could have been in the Comcast website, and because I accepted the cookies, then it was able to follow me in other platforms. So that's one way. Another way could be Comcast is paying the New York Times. Now I can tell that this is probably the New York Times because it's not really very personalized. Comcast Business, again. So this is one of the most important principles of a display ad when these appear. Okay, obviously, is what is called pay-per-click. Pay-per-click means that in order to pay for this ad, you need to click on it. And this right here is what is called a call to action. So here, again, a very effective ad, very clearly show me 100 fast internet, $39 per month. So that sounds very good price. So I'm gonna click on the ad and see what happens. So I should be now getting to a landing page, and the landing page should be about that particular deal. So here we can see that it talks about the deal, and in this particular case, you can click and get a quote, and this is going to be a longer customer journey because if you're going to be changing your internet connection, it's not like buying on Instacart ketchup or from Walmart, right? You're going to analyze it. So you're going to take longer and make sure that this is what you think it is, okay? So this is the second type of ad. Now look at, it's asking me, so by the way, conversion, so we talked about awareness, interest. So obviously the moment I clicked on it, that means I'm interested. I'm looking at the quote, so I'm considering it. But because they know that it's not an easy decision, they will, a lot of times conversion could be you're just giving them your email and subscribing, because what will happen, and this is why these days you have to combine digital with non-digital, is when I put my information, maybe somebody calls me because they realize that I'm not going to make the purchase decision online. Okay, so we talked about a different type of, so now we've talked about email, we talked about those display ads that can appear out of anywhere. So now let's look at the other two that are very, very big. So we're gonna look at search. So we have Google on this side. And, I know that it's not the most popular now, especially among most of the younger people. Some of you, I know, don't even have Facebook anymore, but Facebook's still the most popular one. So let's just stay with Facebook for now, okay? Now here, let's say I'm thinking about taking an online course. So I'm going to I want to take an online course to learn, I don't know, video editing. So I put online courses for video editing. You notice how it completed it for me, okay? So let's now analyze what we have here. By the way, a lot of people do their search in social media. So I'm going to put online course for video editing. Okay, let's see what we get here. Okay, so this is very, very interesting, right? So let's first analyze what we have here on the left. Now, obviously, most people still do their search with Google, right? So what we see here is we have sponsored results. Okay, so these are paid ads. And then we have what is called, I have my AI installed, and these are called organic results. Organic results, the only difference is they don't say sponsor, so they are paid. Now, this one, Udemy, came number 1 and Coursera came number 2. Why is that? Because of several things. First of all, if we look at the heading and we look at my search, so these are the keywords, you can see here immediately is part of the main description and even the heading. Same thing here in Coursera, same thing here. So that's critical. Okay, so we are going to learn later on in the course, we're going to learn how to do, these are called text ads, okay? But let's say, for this type of thing, you wouldn't get shopping ads. But let's just do another search. Let's do Chinese food near me. That's a very common one, right? So what do we get here? Well, we get here, this AI thing, I don't want you to get confused. So what we have here is, these are called Google Map results because they're based on Google Maps, and these are called local results, so local businesses results, okay? And these are usually based on distance to where you are, especially if you're logged in, then it knows your location. Now here, look at these are the organic results. And well, in this case, we don't seem to have any sponsored or paid ads. Okay, but what I really wanted to show you was these type of results. Now, I'm going to put dress shirts. For dress shirts, we get, and obviously we know that these are paid because it says sponsored, okay? But then we're also going to get what are called shopping ads. These are called shopping ads because for something like this, it makes sense to show a picture. And you know who did the ad or who is paying for the ad based on here. You see this particular place. So these are the people who are paying. Now notice that Macy's didn't come out first, or Banana Republic. So it doesn't necessarily, in sponsored ads or paid ads, it's not necessarily the most popular one, the one that is going to come out first, okay? Now, interestingly, when we look at the organic results, then yes, Macy's comes first, and then you have menswear, so that would make perfect sense. So these are called shopping ads. Now, the only reason why I wanted to show also in the case of in the case of Facebook is, even though Facebook is often not used to search things, it's becoming more and more common. Okay. Also, when people want to buy things, a lot of times they go directly to Amazon, right? So if you want to do shopping, just go directly to Amazon, and you know they have your history, and obviously if you're logged in, then they have all your information. Okay. So now we're talking about another type of digital media, which is e-commerce, right? So this is obviously the biggest e-commerce, and interestingly enough, especially because of the pandemic, you know, practically every retailer, every restaurant has now e-commerce, so you can buy directly from just about anybody. So here on the right, with Facebook, we can see the different results. So you have pages, groups. So here is a course, okay? Now what's interesting is I don't think these courses are even from this country, but if it's online, who cares, right? Okay, so we talked about email, we talked about display ads, we talked about search ads, and we talked about searching with social media. Now, obviously, the most common one when it comes to social media, and for this, I'm gonna see if I can now switch. Okay, so I was able to project my iPhone, and here on the left I have remember when I got the ad via email for Best Buy? Here is the same one, okay, on my phone, okay? So I'm gonna click on it, and let's see how it compares. Interesting, right? So it looks similar, but it's not exactly the same. The other thing is, you can see that if I go over here, well, actually, no, the same ones. Look, the same ones. So in this particular case, is the same experience. Now I'm going to stay with show you the phone, because what's happening these days is that when it comes to phones, mobile is considered almost like a separate type of digital media or digital marketing. Yeah, the digital medium. And why is that? The reason for that is because most people use their apps. So for example, let's see, I believe I have a Best Buy app. Okay, Best Buy. Okay. Oh wow, is this opening? Very interesting, because the app opened the website. That's very strange. Let me see. No, I think that's not the app. That's the website. No, I believe maybe I don't have the app. Oh no, that's just the website. But let's look at a different one. For example, Facebook. We might as well go to Facebook, stay on Facebook. Okay? Now, what's important is when it comes to Facebook and all of the different social media, what we're going to learn here is how this is used for business. So that would be what you're seeing right there is my personal account, but now I'm going to switch to my business account. Okay? So this would be the business account that I have. Let's see if I have any ads. Okay. So here, Joe McNally, so this is interesting because Joe McNally is somebody that I follow. So that's an influencer that I follow. This is very important because obviously Joe McNally is not paying for this advertising, it's just a post. So if you have an engaging page and you follow that person, then you would be they can do free advertising. So let's stay here with Joe McNally for a second, because Joe McNally, he does workshops. So I think by now you could tell that my hobby is photography. That's why I use a lot of photography examples. So here he goes, Farewell Tony, Joe McNally Photography. It's not really an ad, but anyway, the important thing is that let's just click on it, okay? So he has 283,000 followers. Interesting enough, he's not following anybody. So in our social media marketing course, we're going to learn how to design these pages and what all these buttons are for and so on. Okay, what I wanted to show you is, remember we were doing the search before. I was doing a search, and one of the search, I was looking for online editing courses. So it's very similar to what we saw before, same result. But you know, one of the things that I notice a lot, and I'm gonna change back to my personal account, even though I don't like to show my personal account, but it's most of the advertising I get is in the personal account. So again, Nikon, I follow Nikon, so that wouldn't be an ad. So here, good, I'm glad that it came out first. So here, this is an ad. So this is very similar to, remember when we saw the display ad for Google. In this particular case, is a social media ad by Twilio, okay? Now, is Twilio relevant for me? Yes, because I do a lot of AI, that's my focus in technology. So this would be an ad, and it works exactly the same way. If I click on it, sorry, by the way, they usually ads have what is called call to action. Call to action in this case would be sign up. So if I click sign up, you know, now I'm here. Interestingly, I'm in their website, so if I accept the cookies, then they can follow me. I'm going to close that for now. I'm going to go a little quicker now because I recognize we're in the 21-minute mark. Okay, so obviously Instagram is a lot more, is what most of you, your generation uses. I know many of you don't even have Facebook anymore. And I'm not going to talk about all the different formats that they have, but I'm going to do it again. Online course video. Okay. So as you can see, very different type of results, right? The results are not text. Why? Because in the case of Instagram, it's all about pictures. So here is one. Again, I can follow it if I want to, but I don't want to follow it because I don't even know what it is. So, okay, now I clicked on it, so I can, so now I'm in the interest stage, and if I want to, then I could follow it. If I follow it, then that means that I'm interested, but maybe I'm still not ready to buy, and maybe over here they have the information, how I sign up. But typically, what I was going to say, typically they have a link to their website, so this one is a little bit different, but again, different type of social media marketing platform. So let's look at the one that most of you like to use. So, well, Twitter. Well, let's talk about Twitter for a second first. So Twitter is like a micro blogging, right? So you have a lot of news, but you also have a lot of advertising, okay? Different type of way. The good thing about Twitter is really good for engaging because it's like short conversations, okay? We might as well look at LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is the most popular one from B2B, okay? And typically is the one that people use mostly for jobs. Now, why B2B? So B2B is business to business. So let's say I'm an accountant. Well, if I'm an accountant, and let's say I want to target small businesses. Well, it's easy to target small businesses. Or let's say I want to target people who are attorneys, okay? So because it has everybody's job information here, you can target very effectively those type of people. Okay, so let's go to the one that is everybody's favorite, okay? So obviously this one is a completely different type of media, okay? Let's see, so this one, no, I'm trying to find some ads. So here, this is an ad, right? It says sponsored. So here you book an appointment. Now the great thing about, I have it so that it doesn't have sound, but you know, this is like almost like a TV ad, right? You have a video, and if you want to, it also has a call to action. I can book it right there. Okay. Now let's do the online course for editing. So here you see again, there is, you know, it has results. Now what happens is, obviously a lot of people will look at the videos, for example, or look at the users and get different comments. Oh, we forgot to look at a very important one, which is YouTube. I have YouTube here. So YouTube is owned by Google. So one of the good things about YouTube, is that, again, for tutorials, that would probably be where it makes the most sense. By the way, that is my, let's click on that just for a second. So this right here, it has all my videos, and here is where, if you want to find, for example, digital marketing or AI videos, that's you know, my videos are here. But anyway, right now let's go back to what we were doing before, which is search. So I was searching is video editing course. And what happens is, oh look, this is very interesting. Sorry, I had to pause it for a second because my mirroring software was not working. So here we can see an ad for the University of Phoenix. So that's very similar to when we do the Google search. What I was going to say is that YouTube is owned by Google. And in this course, we're going to learn how to do the Google ads, and I'll show you how to do a YouTube ad as well. So here is very logical that we'll find a lot of online videos that you can do on YouTube without having to, So again, when we talk about digital marketing, so let's, as a matter of fact, let's do a search. Digital. It's interesting that it said agencies, because we'll look at what those usually do. So digital marketing, let's see, let's look at some of them images here. So digital marketing usually, so here is a good one. So it refers to, oh no, these are the different services. Oh, this is a good one. Okay. So we talked about Instagram, your computer, the way they connect, Twitter. I don't understand why they put airplanes, but anyway, phones, which is mobile. We talked about that. This would be part of mobile. Then social media, which is Facebook, YouTube. So this is all part of digital marketing. Let's look at this image. Okay, social. Search engine optimization is the field in digital marketing where you need to optimize your website so people can find it in the organic results. So, so again, if you remember when we did the first example of what I was searching, and I put dress shirts, we got some organic results. Actually, it was the sponsor results. Don Macy's came first. Video in mobile. So again, because now most social media incorporates video, that would be part of it. But this would also include streaming like YouTube. We haven't talked about like Netflix and those streaming services. That would be considered part of digital too. Mobile, search engine marketing. So it's very similar to search engine optimization, but it's ads. Those are the sponsor ads. Well, return on investment, that you really want to get a return on investment on everything you do. Pay-per-click, this is what I was telling you. This is how the model of Google Ads started and still exists today. So you basically you pay for the ad only if somebody clicks on it, and you can use that particular model. It's not the only model. There are many different types of models there, and content. So in digital marketing, obviously you need to continuously develop fresh content. So that is a whole new field. So again, digital marketing is a very broad these days. And by the way, we haven't even talked about gaming, so that would be considered part of digital marketing too. And so let's see, we'll do one more thing: digital marketing agency services. So this is, if you hire a digital marketing agency, what are the type of things that they would offer? So this is software as a service. Here, look at this, search engine optimization. We talked about this, content marketing. So again, you want people who are very technical. We're going to learn how to do some search engine optimization, but sometimes it can get very technical in terms of the language in your website is designed and all that. Content marketing, we talked about it. Email, huge. Marketing research, so this is very important because what happens is, remember that now every social media in particular, people leave comments. So there is something called social listening, where you have, for companies that have millions or hundreds of thousands of comments all the time, you have artificial intelligence to pick up what is called the sentiment, to kind of classify the favorable, unfavorable comments and so on. Video production, again, this will be part of content because you have to produce sometimes in video. We haven't talked about public relations. So public relations, again, a big field. It always existed in the past, but now, because again, somebody can say something controversial, especially if the CEO of a company, and you have public relations firms that take care of that. Social media marketing, so again, everything related to social media platforms like Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. We didn't talk about Snap, but they're all the same. So basically this is digital marketing. We're in the 32-minute mark. I know it was a long video, but at least I wanted to also give you an overview, not just give you like a textbook definition. I wanted to give you an overview so you have a pretty good idea of what the whole digital marketing field is. So this is basically an overview of everything, and we'll go in depth into all of these. Another part of marketing research, and it's not really called usually research, called analytics. So obviously you have a big field of analytics where you want to be able to measure the effectiveness of everything that you have here. Okay, so I'm gonna stop here. I hope you enjoyed this video.